Laughing Liberally presents Harry Terjanian. Let him know.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for coming out to the Yearly Kos, everybody. Thank you for coming out on a Saturday night in Chicago. Instead of going out and drinking, you guys are here blogging, and way to break that stereotype. Way to do it. No, man, I'm really excited about, the Yearly Kos. Because we need people who care. You know what I mean? America's run out of people who care. Like Chicago is home of the '68 riots. Remember that? Yeah. I got an applause break on riots. All right, this is a little bit early. I'm not saying you should go out and riot. I'm just saying people should have more passion. That's all I'm saying, Because Americans don't seem to care. There's never any passion. We live in a time where we're in an illegal war. The president has admitted to spying on the American people. No riots. A couple angry letters to Entertainment Weekly about who got kicked off American Idol that week, but no riots. Meanwhile, you turn on the news in other countries, Nigel Smith reporting for the BBC here in downtown Paris, where just this afternoon a million French youths took to the street in riotous anger after learning that Raisin Bran cereal, the cereal which claims to contain 2 scoops of raisins, in fact only contains 1 3/4 scoops. We need the Daily Kos. We need things like that. We need bloggers because you can't depend on the media anymore, man. They are celebrity obsessed. They are just, all they care about is celebrity news. One day you're just going to turn on the news one of Britney Spears' breasts falls out of her shirt. Find out which one at 11. Remember when Anna Nicole Smith died? How they tried to... she captivated America. They were trying to make it like it was the Kennedy assassination. She captivated America. As if Walter Cronkite would get up and go, today at 1 o'clock Florida Standard Time, some drunk prostitute died on a floor. It's just, sometimes I can't even tell if we're at war. You don't see the news coverage of the war anymore. What happened to that? When we're winning the war, tons of news coverage. Not anymore, right? It went away, As if Americans are bored with it, like it's a TV show. I watched the first season of the war. It was all right. Then they moved it to Sunday nights, and that's when I watched Desperate Housewives. Nobody cares about it anymore. It's time for Americans to get more passionate about things, and that's why I'm excited about this election. It's time for some change. Am I right? It's time for some change in '08. It's time for some change. I will say this, whoever runs, whatever side you're running for, please, for the love of God, please stop doing the I'm a common man routine. That's all I'm going to ask of all the politicians, especially the last election. My opponent lives in a mansion. Yes, your opponent is rich, just like everyone who's ever been president. There's no poor people running for president. There's no one in that election going, man, I hope that White House thing works out for me. Because if it doesn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. My roommate's going to kick me out. I got an uncle who works at Staples, so that should maybe can put a good word in for me. You're going to see all the issues. Don't be fooled, man. That's why I love the bloggers, man. You guys don't get fooled by all the issues, like the gun issue. That's going to come up again. They always try to take the liberals out with that gun issue. Liberals are going to take your guns away. Liberals don't want to take your guns away. They just want some gun control, you can go right now and you can go to a gun show and purchase a gun without having any ID. You can't get a membership at Blockbuster Video without proper ID. And when was the last time anyone died because of a video? Not counting the people who saw Battlefield Earth and then slit their wrists because they couldn't take it. It's time for some change, man. And I'll tell you, people always ask, you always get the criticism why people don't like Bush. And I'll tell you what it is. He's a little bit arrogant sometimes, I think. Just a little bit. They asked him to name one mistake that he made during his first term, and he couldn't think of one mistake. Remember that? You can't think of one mistake? Why don't you start with grammar and then work your way up? Baby steps. It is, they're very tricky, man. I'm not a peacenik necessarily. I just don't like being lied to. I think that's what it is. The way we went into Iraq, we got to go to Iraq. They got weapons of mass destruction. I don't know if you watched the war coverage like I did, but the Iraqis barely had weapons of regular destruction. And they made it sound like Saddam had the weapons, but he wasn't willing to use them for some reason. Like, I saw them, they have been bombing us for 30 days now. Do you think maybe we should use one of the weapons of mass destruction? Not yet. I want to see where they're going with this. I think I haven't figured out the whole thing, man. You gotta be careful, man. They're very tricky. I'll give you this. They're very tricky. My favorite, they know how to play with the media, man. My favorite thing Bush ever did was he said that he came out, he was talking about elections in Iraq, and he goes, you know, there's people out there who say that people with different color skin than ours can't handle democracy. And I think that's wrong. Like, people said that? Nobody said that. He just made that up. You know what he did? You know what he did? He took on an invisible racist and he won. You could do that with anything. You know, there's people out there who think it's all right to call Canadians snow faggots, and I'm against that. That is wrong. I will not stand for that. It's not just, you know, the whole crew, man, the whole crew. It's, you know, not just him, Cheney's another. Cheney's the brains of the operation, let's face it. Like, Cheney would be the president, but he's not exactly what you'd consider camera-friendly, you know? Cheney's problem is he can't hide the evilness in his heart and soul. Every time he shows up to a press conference, I have to expect him to walk up to the podium wearing an eye patch and stroking a cat like a James Bond villain. He's not a cuddly old man. He and Rumsfeld used to remind me of those two old guys who used to heckle people from the balcony on The Muppet Show. This is the one thing I want. Everyone has their own thing. This is the one thing I want out of the '08 elections. Separation, let's do it, separation of church and state. That's all I ask. Yeah. Enough of the nonsense, man. Enough of the gay marriage thing. I don't ever want to hear about that. You know what my stance on gay marriage is? I don't care. Like, I don't care what you do. I don't care what your family does. As long as it doesn't screw up my TV reception, I don't care. But I love the people who are way too into it. Like, if you let a man marry another man, what are you going to say when a man decides to marry a horse? What? I don't know, welcome to Alabama? What are you supposed to say? Relax. They don't have the internet. They'll never. If you're from Alabama, do something about it. I don't know what to tell you. Whatever. We have fun. That's what's different between us and the rest, man. No, I mean the whole point is, you know, I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of that whole, you know, like God hates fags. Like, I don't know, man. I've listened to Elton John's greatest hits. I don't think God hates fags. If Love and Tiny Dancer is wrong, the hell with it. I don't want to be right. But part of me wonders, like, what if they're right? What if there's a small chance they're right, you know? What if God does hate gays? What if God is just a racist redneck? Like, you just show up at heaven, there's a rebel flag hanging in the background. You hear Leonard Skinner over the loudspeaker. You're like, is that Freebird? That can't be good. God walks up to you, you know, God walks up to you wearing cowboy boots and a belt buckle that says God on the front of it. Like, welcome to heaven, you come at a good night. It's NASCAR night. Like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to hell if you don't mind, actually. I hear they're reading down there, so that's... The whole gay marriage, it's just so ridiculous. The people who get to speak out, you know, in favor of that amaze me more than anything else, man. Like Pat Robertson gets to say, he says something stupid on his TV show every week. My favorite thing he ever said, he blamed Hurricane Katrina and the tsunami on God's wrath against gays. So basically, Pat Robertson thinks that gay people control the weather. And I say, screw it, let's let Pat Robertson do a weather report every night of the week. Like, hey, Pat, what's it going to be like out there? Well, I'll tell you, I was at a local shop mall this morning. I saw two men holding hands, so that's going to bring in a cold front from the north. And I read a story about a black man receiving a promotion, so you might want to take an umbrella when you leave the house. The whole thing, man, you know, I just don't like the way, you know, there's nothing wrong with religion. I think religion is great if it works for you. There's nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't work for everyone, you know? Like, I was raised Catholic, so I know a little something about religious oppression. Just a little bit. You know, look at the way American history looks at religion, you know, sometimes. Like, you know, look at the Aztecs. Like, oh, those silly Aztecs worshiping a sun god. How ridiculous. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous, but at least you can see the sun. It rises and sets every day. It didn't show up once 2,000 years ago and then claim to be back later on like some kind of deadbeat dad. Which is my theory. I believe Jesus did exist. He just saw how awful humanity was and went, to hell with this, I'm gonna go get cigarettes, and then he never came back. But of course you can't print that in the Bible because it's kind of a downer. Thank you guys, good night, man, I appreciate you, thank you. Go to laughingliberally.com.
Harry Terjanian.